What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. First off, I hope all my YouTubers and YouTubettes had a happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. Hope you guys ate a lot of turkey, ham, dressing, stuffing, macaroni and cheese, dirty rice, cranberry sauce, macaroni and cheese, broccoli casserole, corn on the cob. You had the rolls to go with it. Hope y'all ate well and ate good. And I hope y'all out there not fighting over gifts on Black Friday and people uploading the video, putting it on YouTube. Y'all out there acting a fool over a microwave, acting a fool over a TV, acting a fool over a cell phone. You know what I'm saying? I hope that don't happen. Hope you guys show a little bit of restraint. And I hope you guys understand that if they do run out, they gonna have the same appliances, the same things they're gonna have next week. When that truck come in, that truck come in on a Tuesday once a week. That truck coming back Tuesday. What are we looking at? What today is Friday, honey. That's another truck coming Tuesday, bringing the same stuff that's sitting up in that store today. Make no mistake about it. But with all that being said, this is big time college football weekend. Big time matchup featuring rivals. We got a matchup that is known as the game. I ain't talking about the rap either. I'm talking about the game in the big house. Michigan hosting Ohio State. That's number 3 hosting number 2. We got the Iron Bowl. We got Auburn at Alabama. Up in the Northwest, we got a big time matchup featuring Heisman Trophy contender Bo Nix hosting his team Oregon Ducks, hosting the Oregon State. That's a big time matchup. We got Texas hosting Texas Tech. Texas is looking to win this game and win the Big 12 championship next week, get some help with some teams that are ranked ahead of them. They're right behind Oregon as the teams with one loss, laying in wait. Hopefully, when you get the loser of the Michigan, Ohio State will drop up under them. You got Washington and Oregon that could meet up next week, so that might open up another spot. So we got a lot of big-time matchup. We got Washington and Washington State. What they call that thing? The Apple Cup Bowl or the Applesauce Bowl? That's a big-time matchup, as Washington will be looking to make their second appearance in the college football playoffs. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But we got a great matchup in the sport of boxing. It's rarity occurrence that we have a big-time fight during Thanksgiving weekend. But we do have a matchup featuring 2 undefeated former champions. We have Demetrius Andrade with a record of 32 wins, 0 losses, 19 KOs. He's your favorite fighter, taking on Benavidez, who Mike Tyson named the Mexican Monster, who has a record of 27 wins, 0 losses, 23 KOs. So somebody old must go. This going down in Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's going down. This is going to be a great stylistic matchup featuring 2 great champions, 2 great men, 2 guys that are looking to put it all on the line, lay it all on the line to get one step closer to the cash cow boxing, Canelo Alvarez. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. Now, this fight is a classic example of what they call in boxing circles the bull versus the matador. The bull being David Benavidez versus the matador being Demetrius Andrade. This is a great stylistic matchup. And when you look at these type of matchups, I always favor the boxer over the puncher. I always favor the technician over the pressure fighter. But when you look at David Benavidez, his equalizer is he's the bigger guy. He's the naturally bigger guy. He's got fast hands. He established smart pressure. He's got a great jab, so he's not just kind of come through the front door unannounced. He's coming in behind the jab. He's what you call a hook artist, great hooks to the body to the ribs, to the head. Beautiful combinations. Now he's a front foot heavy, come forward type of fighter, so that could play to his demise versus Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, who has great footwork, knows how to turn his opponent, great in the mid-range. Now he's gonna have to establish his jab, Andrade. His recent fights, he's not really been trying to look to establish that jab. He's been trying to be a more exciting fighter, come forward, letting his hands go, throwing hooks. He's got a beautiful overhand right that he tends to throw when his opponents throw a lazy jab out there. He counters with a looping right hand. He throws hooks to the body. He's a guy that, in my opinion, is a combination of Alexander Usyk, Bernard Hopkins, Keith Thurman, and with a sprinkle of Pernell, Sweet Pea Whitaker, taking on David Benavidez, who reminds me of former heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz when you talk about his hand speed. He's got great hand speed, but I don't think he's as versatile as Andy Ruiz is. Andy Ruiz can fight coming forward, but Andy Ruiz can make you come to him and he can get his shots off also. I think David Benavidez, his style is pretty much simple. Come forward, bringing the pressure. I'm the bigger guy. I'm going to absorb what you throw. You're going to eventually slow down, and I'm going to break you down in the second half of the fight, either win by decision or possibly stop you. That's his style. That's his method to his madness. When you look at Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, he's the more versatile fighter. He's the more complete fighter. But his problem in his situation is going to come down to this. It's going to come down to, do he have enough pop to get David Benavidez's respect? If he don't, then David Benavidez is going to walk through him. He's going to eventually walk him down, and he's going to eventually take over the fight, specifically in the second half of the fight. But I do believe that Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade has good pop on his punch. He's very sharp puncher. I think when you look at all his fights, none of his opponents have walked him down. None of his opponents have just thrown caution to the wind and come forward, letting their hands go and not worried about what's coming back. They seem to be cautious. When they taste his shots early on, they seem to respect that, and they seem to not just come in recklessly. And if that's the case against Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, then that will be laying the groundwork for Demetrius Andrade to win this fight. Demetrius Andrade is a guy that's very good in the mid-range. Very good in the mid-range. He's just in the mid-range where he can get his shots off and then stifle your offense. Now, he is susceptible to occasional body punch, so that's going to be a big advantage for him, or advantage for David Benavidez. Because if David Benavidez can land multiple body shots, that means that David Benavidez can close the distance and he's able to impose his will and close his size and fight his style of fight. But if he's just landing like one body blow at a time and missing a lot and stuff like that, and Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade is controlling the fight from the mid-range, then Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade is going to be in his wheelhouse. He's going to be fighting the fight that he needs to fight to win this fight. So this fight's going to come down to who can implement their style of fighting. Now, David Benavidez is a front foot heavy, come forward fighter. Now, when you're fighting a guy like a Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, who has great footwork, very athletic, knows how to control distance, that could be to the demise of David Benavidez. As Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade is a guy that, again, knows how to get his shots off and then get out of harm's way. Knows how to give you different looks, throw punches from different angles. This guy's is a beautiful fighter, man. He just ain't been in there with the competition. He ain't been in there with the high-profile fight to get his name at the top of boxing. But this could be his chance to win this fight and finally get that signature win. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, this is a good fight. A lot of people expecting David Benavidez to win this fight. A lot of people anticipating a big-time matchup in 2024 involving David Benavidez taking on Canelo Alvarez. But in my opinion, I think if I had to put money on this fight, I would definitely put it on Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade to win this fight. I just think he's the more overall gifted fighter. I think he has enough power on his punches to get David Benavidez respect. Make no mistake about it, David Benavidez is going to come forward. He's going to bring the pressure. But if Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade can somehow back up David Benavidez, which I have never seen, and I don't think it's going to happen in this fight because he's just the more naturally bigger guy. But if you see an example, if you ever see this in the fight, well, I don't think we're going to see it, but just say we see Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade backing up David Benavidez. If that's the case, then David Benavidez is in a world of trouble. I don't see that happening, but what I've seen in Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade's previous fights, probably his last 4 or 5 fights where he's been more aggressive, he's been able to back up his opponent. And he's been fighting a lot of guys that are similar style to David Benavidez. They don't have the hand speed and they don't have the arsenal that David Benavidez have, but they were come forward fighters. But it got to a point in that fight, there were fights with Demetrius Andrade where Andrade was able to back those guys up. And when I saw that, I knew the fight was a done deal for Demetrius Andrade. When you talk about guys like Jason Quigley, who's a pressure fighter, guys like Saluki is a pressure fighter. You look at guys like Liam Williams, he's a pressure fighter, guys like that. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not saying they're on the level of David Benavidez. I'm just saying that Demetrius Andrade was able to back up those guys, and those guys were pressure fighters. And if he's able to do that with David Benavidez will be in a world of trouble. Don't see that happening. I think the fight's going to be more like David Benavidez bringing the pressure and Demetrius Andrade trying to counter and trying to pick his spots, trying to frustrate David Benavidez, hit him with some shots to make him a little bit less aggressive and control the fight that way. I think that's going to be the blueprint for Demetrius Andrade to win this fight. So we will see what happens, and we will see see what transpires. Great matchups. Can't wait to see it. I like Demetrius Andrade to win a decision over David Benavidez. 115-113, 7 rounds to 5. I think Andrade in the first 6 rounds builds a lead of maybe 4 rounds to 2, 5 rounds to 1. David Benavidez comes on in the second half of the fight like he did in the Caleb Plant fight and wins more of the 6 rounds in the second half of the fight, 6 through 12. But I think he comes up shorter than a midget on his knees and loses a decision to Demetrius Andrade. It wouldn't be a bit surprised if it's a split decision, as many people want to see David Benavidez take on Canelo Alvarez. That's one of the biggest fights to be made in boxing. So Demetrius Andrade is going to have to win 9 rounds to get the decision. Anything less than that, he's going to be putting himself in jeopardy of getting robbed against David Benavidez, who's more of a marketable fighter, a younger fighter, and again, been dubbed the Mexican Monster by Mike Tyson. A lot of people anticipating the matchup with Canelo Alvarez in the first quarter of 2024. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now, David Benavidez has one of the best jabs in boxing, very underrated. Don't get a lot of credit for his jab. You know, when people talk about guys that have the best jabs in boxing, they talk about Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Bud Crawford. They talk about Shakur Stevenson and Javante Tank Davis. You know, they talk about a lot of other guys before they mention David Benavidez, but he has a great jab, stiff jab. He's got long arms. He's got a 74.5 reach. Demetrius Andrade has a 73.5 reach. So both of these guys got long arms. Both of these guys can get shots off from distances that their opponents don't anticipate them getting those shots off and landing. A lot of times you think you're out of range with David Benavidez, but you really ain't out of range. He's got a lot of, he got some long arms, and he's got a quick first step getting from point A to point B. He's able to close distance very quick, even though he's front foot heavy. He's got those long arms. He's got fast hands, beautiful combination puncher. Like I say, his combinations remind me a lot of Andy Ruiz, who's former heavyweight champion, former unified heavyweight champion. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Who you like in this particular matchup? Do you like the come forward, aggressive boxer puncher and David Benavidez, or do you like the skillful technician, sharp, accurate puncher come out the southpaw stance? That's another thing with Demetrius Andrade. He's coming in and out the southpaw stance, so he's going to be looking to land that straight left hand, land that looping left hook over the top of your jab. So that's going to be very key. So when David Benavidez try to throw out that stiff jab, Andrade going to be looking to come over the top with a looping right hand, which he's very accurate in landing. So he's a complete fighter, man. He can throw straight punches. He can throw accurate punches. Demetrius Andrade, when he does have his opponent hurt, he starts throwing those wide shots to the body, those looping wide shots. Kind of remind me of Deontay Wilder in that regard. So a lot of people say he's kind of sloppy. A lot of people come out here and say, man, what you talking about, JBsports? You say he's a technician. You say he's skillful, man. But to me, he seems like he's kind of sloppy. He's throwing those wild shots. But he only does that when he has his opponent hurt. But when you look at his ring generalship, they're second to none. Like I say, he's the more gifted fighter. He's the more versatile fighter. But again, he's fighting a guy that's naturally bigger than him. truth be told, David Benavidez should be in the light heavyweight division. He should be at 175 at the very least. He probably wanted to. He probably could go up to the cruiserweight. He's a big guy, 6'2", big guy. But he's able to drain down to the weight, and he's able to drain down to the weight healthy, and he's able to show up on fight night very strong because he's a young guy. I think he's like 25, 26. It's gonna come to a point in time where when you drain yourself like that, come down in weight, it's gonna hurt you down the line. But he's young enough where he's able to absorb that and still come into the ring on fight night ready to rock and roll. Maybe this might be the night where losing all that weight, coming down and weight to 168, which he should be again at 175 at the very least, probably should be at cruiserweight. Maybe it comes back to haunt him in this fight. Because when you look at the Caleb Plant fight, he started that fight out very slow as Caleb Plant controlled that fight, was winning that fight easy in the first half of the fight. But Caleb Plant is a guy that always fades, and David Benavidez was able to take over and put a beating of all beatings on Caleb Plant in the second half of that fight. Nearly stopped him on multiple occasions. A lot of people said that Caleb Plant had help from the referee, and that's the only reason why he was able to survive that onslaught. But with all that being said, he showed that in that fight that he kind of reserved his energy and reserved coming forward with real aggressive pressure to the second half of that fight. But I think he was thinking about not fading and not running out of gas in the second half of that fight due to the weight loss, trying to get down to 168. If that's indeed the case against Demetrius Andrade, who's to me a better overall fighter than Caleb Plant, won't gas out in the second half of that fight, that could be to his demise in this matchup this Saturday night. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. Hold up, before I say I holla, let me know in the comment section who you like in this matchup. Somebody must go. I like Demetrius Andrade by decision, 7 rounds to 5. But again, if it is 7 rounds to 5, he could be on the wrong end of the stick in that type of close fight. I think he's got to probably win 9 rounds to get a decision. But I like him to win this fight 115-113. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook again, Gerard Briscoe. Like, share, subscribe to JB Sports. The man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.